Hi, this is class 6 of my course on getting things done management in the development context. In this class we looked at a key part of the new public management, which is contracting out and decentralization, concessions, the use of managed competition and things like that in government, which is a crucial part of new public management because it opens government up to the idea of working with agents who are in the private sector or who have private sector incentives to perform in different ways to typical bureaucracies. We had a look to see how relevant this idea was in development, and some of the characteristics and the factors that need to be considered to make sure that it's a good fit for where you are. The discussion focused on a case of water sector privatization or concession in Cancun in Mexico about 25 years ago. That didn't go very well. But the reason why it didn't go very well wasn't because concessions are a bad idea. It didn't go very well because the government wasn't ready to do the concession. The government didn't have any entity that really managed the process. It didn't have lawyers who could help to set up documents, so it ended up going in with bad documents. It didn't really find any good vendors who could do the work, and it didn't really do any background on the vendors. In actual fact, the connections to the vendors came through some politicians, which meant that there was some perspectives and some voices that said that there was corruption in the process. The process didn't end up very well in that case, and it took Mexico a long time to develop the capabilities to actually have successful concessions, etc. In actual fact, going through these kinds of processes was good but costly for that country. They learned, but they learned for over a long period of time. So we discussed quite a few different authors, and you'll see them in the readings, who suggest some practical mechanisms that should be in place before you decide that you want to have a concession agreement and you want to move down this road. Some of these things are maybe having the kind of agency that can do the background checks, being able to do cost-benefit analysis, making sure that the task that you're trying to outsource or privatize or create a concession around is actually something that's well suited to that, meaning that the reason why you're doing it isn't because there's a political problem that is just intractable, because if that's the case, if your bureaucracy can't get around it, maybe the private sector won't be able to either, and all you're going to do is kind of shift the problem around. We also looked at Alan Schick's warnings about using New Zealand's model, which was the contractual model, more widely in developing country, and Schick basically said, you need to have some of the basics in place before you do that. You need to have structures that can actually manage these things. And then we also looked at Nick Manning's work on this, where Nick says, I think quite in a level-headed way, says, we need to be able to understand where we're working before we choose these things, and the kinds of capabilities that are in a context matter, as well as the pressure from citizens to actually do things. So these are different ways in which we can think about a contingent approach to choosing tools that work in the place where we're working. And that's really, I think, where we're moving to in this course, and where we'll see you in the next session. Thank you.